All right, guys, welcome to Isaiah 17. And this one I think is going to be pretty big. It is a proclamation against Syria and Israel. So this should be kind of eye opening. There should be a lot here, and we're going to see a lot of very, very familiar names here. So let's get right into it. If I have a message that pops up at the top of the screen, I apologize in advance. I'm having a conversation with my wife by text. The burden against Damascus. Behold, Damascus will cease from being a city, and it will be a ruinous heap. This is a prophecy that we've been watching for quite some time now. A lot of people are on the page that, or of the mindset that it's already happened. Well, in a way it has, but it's probably going to happen again. When you look at it now, most of it's already there. Damascus is a nuclear target, and there's a lot of armies there. There's a lot of facilities there, so it's very possible that it could get wiped out again. Most likely, it will be. But again, as we read Isaiah 17, keep in mind the future events that the Bible talks about and how similar it is. Verse 2: The cities of Eror are forsaken. They will be for flocks which lie down, and no one will make them afraid. The fortress also will cease from Ephraim, the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Syria. They will be as the glory of the children of Israel, says the Lord of hosts. In that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob will wane, and the fatness of his flesh grow lean. Hard times are coming. It shall be as when the harvester gathers the grain and reaps the heads with his arm. It shall be as he who gathers heads of grain in the valley of Rephaim. Yet gleaning grapes will be left in it, like the shaking of an olive tree. 2 or 3 olives at the top of the uppermost bough, 4 or 5 in its most fruitful branches, says the Lord God of Israel. He's talking about separation of people. A few people up in leadership, some people down at the bottom. He's talking about how people are going to be gathered up and separated out. Verse 7: In that day a man will look to his Maker, and his eyes will have respect for the Holy One of Israel. Isn't there a time in the Bible involving Jacob where they're going to look to God and say, or look to Jesus and say, well, you are the Son of God, and mourn him like an only son? Sounds kind of similar to this. Verse 8: He will not look to the altars, the work of his hands. He will not respect what his fingers have made, nor the wooden images, nor the incense altars. That's all stuff they're dealing with right now. In that day, his strong cities will be as a forsaken bow, and an uppermost branch, which they left because of the children of Israel. And there will be desolation. Every bit of this is tribulation talk. Because you have forgotten the God of your salvation. Verse 10, and have not been mindful of the rock of your stronghold. That's Christ. Therefore you will plant pleasant plants and set out foreign seedlings. In the day you will make your plant grow, and in the morning... Sorry, I said that all wrong. My eye got blurry just for a second. I messed that up. Verse 11, in the day you will make your plant to grow, and in the morning you will make your seed to flourish, but the harvest will be a heap of ruins, in the day of grief and desperate sorrow. Now that one verse encompasses the whole tribulation. Because at the beginning, they're going to become very powerful. They're going to be basically center of the world, ruling everything. Because the Antichrist is going to establish them and bring them up. And then at the end of that whole situation, they're going to be wiped out completely. And the remnant will have to hide. Verse 12, woe to the multitude of many people who make a noise like the roar of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nation will rush like the rushing of many waters, but God will rebuke them, and they will flee far away. That's war. That's making war. And be chased like the chaff of the mountain before the wind, like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. Then behold, at eventide, trouble. And before the morning, he is no more. This is the portion of those who plunder us, and the lot of those who rob us. There's going to be a great battle. We can read about this in Amos and Joel, Jeremiah. There's going to be a great battle. The book of Revelation, He's going to come, and there's going to be a huge fight. There's going to be a huge battle, Armageddon, and then the Lord will judge everybody. The whole world, all the nations will be judged. Those who have caused problems, those who have come against Israel, those who've gone negative towards Israel, those who, I'll bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Those people are going to be removed, flung into the pit for 1,000 years. This is all tribulation talk. We can see aspects of it that happened in the past, but this is really focuses, and it's so allegorical in its speech. It's talking about branches, that's family lines and lineages. It's talking about the rock of stronghold, that's faith. It's talking about the many waters and the rushing of the many waters. That's all the nations coming together to fight. It's all of this is tribulation talk. It's amazing. It's very descriptive. And hidden within it is a lot of interesting details. Again, I can't cover it all. My eyes are really bad this morning. We have a dry front coming through. I wonder if it's kicked up a bunch of pollen. Oof. So, Isaiah's got a lot more to tell us. This is all, keep in mind, this is all just the setup. We haven't even gotten to the really descriptive, specific part yet. This is just the setup. We're 17 chapters in, and it's just setting things up. God really gave Isaiah a lot. And we have the privilege of being able to read this book and read it. So that was Isaiah 17. Tomorrow is Isaiah 18, Proclamation Against Ethiopia. This one is interesting. I remember some of the stuff that's in this one. This one's interesting. And a lot of people don't realize Ethiopia is going to play a part in the last days. Now, they had interactions back during Solomon's days with Ethiopia, and even had interactions with Ethiopia during 2,000 years ago when Christ was crucified. It's quite possible the Ethiopian eunuch was in Jerusalem when it happened. Quite possible. And what happened to him? He got saved. What book was he reading from? Because while he was there, and he had money because he was riding in a chariot, he bought him the book of Isaiah. How appropriate, how amazing, how interesting. I wonder if he was reading chapter 18. Well, tomorrow we'll read it and we'll see if we can find any clues. All right, guys, that was Isaiah 17. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.